Hello everyone. Welcome to this discussion on TCP congestion control. So we had seen general congestion control in the transport layer earlier, and we saw that congestion control is an important responsibility of the transport layer. And TCP being the most widely used protocol in the internet today, you will find that congestion control is a big responsibility of TCP, and TCP performs several tasks in order to perform this congestion control. So congestion, as we know, it is when there is a lot of node on the network, more than what it can handle, then congestion occurs. And this congestion is detected by the network layers when the packets get dropped at the routers. And when the network layer detects this congestion by looking at the queues at the routers and the packet drops, it informs the transport layer of this because the data is coming from the transport layer. So the transport layer will receive this information, congestion information from the network layer, and then it will slow down the rate at which it is sending data to the network. So the transport layer's work is to monitor or look out for this congestion information from the network layer and regulate its sending rate based on that. So let's see how TCP performs this. So in the congestion control in TCP, it uses the AIMD control law. So AIMD we have seen earlier that it is the additive increase, multiplicative decrease control law, which is made in response to the binary congestion signals received from the network. So the network layer will inform the transport layer that there is congestion. So that is in the form of congestion signals. And then the TCP, that is the transport layer protocol, will follow this control law, that is additive increase, multiplicative decrease, this control law to control the sending rate. Okay, and this AIMD we have already discussed in detail that we have seen that this particular approach or this particular control law converges to a fair and efficient bandwidth. Okay, so we have a fair scheme and it makes efficient use of the bandwidth, available bandwidth. So to do this, TCP uses another window in addition to the flow control sliding window. So we have already seen that the flow control window, that is the sliding window, is maintained by the sender and the receiver. Okay, so the flow control is used to keep track of how much buffer size the receiver has. Okay, so how much data the receiver can receive. In addition to that, we have one more window which is kept, which is called the congestion window. And this congestion window keeps track of how many bytes of data it may be having in the network currently. So currently, say I am a sender, I have sent 64 KB of data to the network. So the congestion window will keep track of that. So the sending rate is the congestion window size divided by the round trip time. Okay. So the corresponding rate, it is divided, the window size is divided by the round trip time of the connection. And by looking at this, the sending rate will be adjusted by the TCP according to the AIMD law. So now you have the receiver window, which is the flow control window, and you have the congestion window. So the effective actual sending rate would be the minimum of these two. How much the network can handle and how much the receiver can handle. So whichever is the minimum, that will be taken as the effective sending window. Say for example, if the sender is there, receiver is there. Now sender thinks that it can send 32 KB of data. Okay. So if it says that because it is looking at monitoring the congestion, so it knows that if 32 KB of data it will send, okay, then the network will get congested. Okay, but the receiver says that okay, I am ready to receive 64 KB of data. Okay, So this is nothing but your receiver window, and this 32 kb is your congestion window. So sender knows that if I send 32 kb, the network will get cropped. Receiver says, okay, I'm ready to accept 54 kb. So how much do you think the sender should send? If it sends 64 kb, the network will definitely get cropped. Okay, so it will send 32 kb, which is the minimum of the two. Same way, if say the receiver says that I can receive 64 kb, and the sender knows that the network can handle 128 kb of data. Okay, so there is no congestion. So 128 kb it can safely send, but the receiver is saying I want 64 kb of data. I can handle 64 kb of data. So again, the sender will not send 128 kb, because in that case the receiver will not be able to receive it. Okay, it can receive only 64, so it will send 64 kb. So whatever is the minimum of the congestion window, the amount of what can the network can handle, and the receiver window, the amount that the receiver can handle. So that is the congestion window. Now, the congestion signal. How does the network layer inform the transport layer that there is signal? There is a congestion. So this is known from two things. The first and the most commonly used is your packet. Oh, sorry, this is packet loss. So if packets are being dropped, how will the TCP know that packets are getting lost? Because it is, remember the retransmission timeout, RTO. Okay, so it has sent a packet, started a timer. Now this packet has not reached. The acknowledgement for this has not reached. Okay, and then the timer times out. So it means what? That there is, the packet is lost, so it has to be retransmitted. Okay, so now if this RTO value, that is, we have already discussed in the TCP timer management, that if this is decided what would be the RTO value, in that case, whenever there is a packet loss, it will indicate that there is this loss of packet is due to congestion. So the TCP will keep track of the congestion window using the sequence number and acknowledgement numbers. Okay, so it will look at which packet has been sent, which packet has been acknowledged. So based on that, if the acknowledgement has not been received, then there is a RTO, that is a timeout. And if there is a timeout, it will understand that there is congestion. And accordingly, if there is a congestion, what it will do, it will adjust the congestion window. How it will adjust? It will adjust by using the AIMD rule. So that is the congestion signal. The commonly used one is packet loss. Now there is another thing to look at. Let's see. Here, if you look at this diagram, you'll find that this is a two-hop communication. Okay, so this is the sender, and this is the sender, and this is the receiver. Now you have two links. This is the first link, which is in blue. I'm drawing it in blue, and there is another link which is in red. Okay, so the blue link is a fast link, so it can transmit a lot of packets together, and the red link is a slow link. So that is the bottleneck. So when the sender is sending, the sender sends a burst of packets. So you can see all these packets out here. These are the packets it is sending. This will fast. Very soon it will reach the buffer. But then what happens? It has to pass on to the slow link, enter through the slow link now. Now because this link is slow, so what happens? The packets which are reaching the buffer, that is this particular router, very fast, it will have to be buffered. Okay, it will queue up in this router, and then slowly the packets will be sent according to the data rate of this red link. So you can see that this size of the packets, you see the size of the packet, it looks bigger. Here it was, on this side, the packet was very small, and here it looks like this, big. Now what this means? This means that This packet takes this much time to transmit, this packet takes more time to transmit. The size of the packet doesn't change, it is the transmission time. So this is going slowly. So one packet is taking more time to travel to the receiver. Now the receiver will receive the packet not at the rate, say this is rate is R1, this is rate is R2. So the receiver will receive the packet at the rate of R2, slower one. Okay, so it will send the acknowledgement also at that rate, R2 rate. Okay, and when it reaches here, because it reaches here at the rate R2, even though the blue line is faster, it will send it at the same rate R2 itself. So the rate at which the acknowledgements will reach the receiver is again the rate R2, which is the slower one, the slower rate. So by measuring this rate at which the acknowledgements are arriving at the sender will know that what is the effective rate of the rate that it has to follow. So even though it can send very fast according to that rate R1, but it gets all blocked out here at the router. So it can send it at this particular speed. So this is just an example. So you have a link of 10 Mbps link, and the round trip time is 100 milliseconds. So, and let us assume that the packet size is 1250 bytes. Okay. So what should be the congestion window if I want to make the full optimal use of the bandwidth? It will be the bandwidth delay product. That is, remember, bandwidth delay product 10 Mbps into 100 milliseconds. Okay, not 100 milliseconds. You convert this into seconds because this is in beats per second. So you convert this to seconds. So if you find the bandwidth delay product, so you will get something like 1 megabits. So 1 megabits approximately, this will relate to 100 packets. That means at a time, 100 packets can be held in the link for full utilization. Okay, this is approximately, okay, since our packet size is this. Now, let's say if the congestion window starts at 1, okay, then after sending every packet, what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the congestion window by 1 packet. So I send 1 packet, okay, then I send again another 1 packet after 100 seconds, okay, then I send again another 1 packet after 100 seconds. 100 seconds, why? 100 milliseconds, sorry. 100 milliseconds, why? Because 100 milliseconds is the round trip time. So at every round trip time, I increase by 111. Okay. So what will happen is that to reach the optimal rate, what is the optimal rate? Optimal rate is 100 packets. Okay. It will take how much? It will take 100 round trip time. 100 round trip times will roughly, it will come to 10 seconds. Now 10 seconds is the time, 10 seconds it will take to come to an optimum, to find an optimum rate. So which is not acceptable. Okay, so what should we do? Another very naive explanation would be, you start with a very large congestion window. So you start with 50 packets congestion. But then 50 packets may cause congestion. As explained in our previous diagram here, we have explained here, if I have the congestion window very large, if I have large congestion window, in that case, the chances of congestion will be more. If I have very small congestion window and I'm increasing it very slowly, then what will happen? To reach the optimum speed, to reach the optimum rate, it will take a long time. So what should be done? Or what is done in TCP? So in TCP, we follow a scheme called the slow start scheme. And this is a solution which is provided by, again, we have come across his name earlier also, Jacobson. Jacobson. Okay. So what happens in the slow start? Okay. So according to this scheme, the congestion window is increased by 2 at every RTT initial. Okay. So at every round trip time, okay, it is increased by 2. So first, say in the first RTT, congestion window is 1. Okay. In the second RTT, it is 2. That means it can send 2 packets. Then in the third RTT, it is twice of this, that is 4. So 1, 2, then 4. So even though the name is slow start, okay, it is actually a misnomer because you are starting with a small congestion window, which is 1, and then you are increasing it by 2, by factor of 2 every time. So 1 then became 2, 2 became 4, 4 will become 8, and so on. And you go on like this. But if you look at this, isn't this a multiplicative increase? Okay, so you are increasing the congestion window, but at a multiplicative rate. And we said that TCP uses additive increase, multiplicative decrease. So if I do this, if I follow this scheme, then I'm having a multiplicative increase, multiplicative decrease. And if you recall, or you should go back and watch the video on congestion control, and you will see that this MIMD or multiplicative increase, multiplicative decrease, it violates the basic principle of max-min fairness. So our congestion control scheme has to follow the principle of max-min fairness. So if I follow MIMD, then it violates this max-min fairness. So there is a problem here. Okay. Now just to go back to this, here you see why we increase like this. First of all, why we increase like this? Because we want to reach the optimal rate fast. Optimal rate, we want to reach the optimal rate faster. Earlier, what we did? We did RTT1, we sent 1, RTT2, we sent 2, RTT3, we sent 3, like this. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, not 3, sorry, sent 1, 1 every time we increase by 1. Here, we are increasing it by as double. So, what is to be done? So, let's see how we can solve this problem. So, here, what is done is that in order to implement an additive increase, the sender has a threshold. Okay, it has a variable called S threshold for each connection. So for each connection, the sender holds a variable called threshold. Okay. So initially, this threshold is equal to the BDP. That is the maximum that the network can hold. Okay. So in our previous example, we saw that the BDP was 100 packets. So the threshold was 100 packets. Okay. So the congestion window was initially, it is 100 packets it can hold. Okay. Now, when the packet, so initially the BDP is the threshold, so packet is sent. Now packets are being sent. Okay. Now when the packet loss is determined, when there is a packet loss, then this threshold will be whatever is the congestion window divided by 2, half of the congestion window. Okay. And then when the threshold is crossed, the TCP switches from slow start to additive increase. So slow start, what was the formula? 1, 2, 4, 8, and so on. This was the rate at which the segments were sent. Now, let's say when it was sent, you were sending 8 packets. At this point, there is some retransmission timeout. So retransmission timeout signals that there is congestion. So this came in. So at this point, the threshold, okay, the threshold was made to be half of the window. That is 8. It was 8, so it was made to be, threshold was made to be 4. And then initially we had this slow start. We started with slow start. Then there was a retransmission timeout. So when retransmission timeout was there, then we reduced the threshold. to half. Okay. And then we started with when we continued in that manner. Now when the threshold is crossed, then TCP switched from slow start to additive increase. So after that, when this threshold, if this threshold of 4 was crossed, after that we increased it only by 1 each. So 1 1 1 like this. So now this is additive increase. Okay. So the congestion window is increased by 1 segment every round trip time. So this is in the additive increase part, it is increased by 1. At this part, it is the slow state part. Okay. And the congestion window, what was the size of the congestion window? The congestion window was increased by the update would be maximum. MSS stands for the maximum segment size, and this is the congestion window size. So we update the congestion window in this manner. So slow start is something like this. You can see initially it is sending 1. It sends 1. Okay. In the next RTT, so it gets an acknowledgement. In the next, it sends 2. Okay. Acknowledgements for these are received. Then when it receives the first acknowledgement, for every acknowledgement, it sends 2 packets. So here it received 2 acknowledgements. So it sent 4 packets. Here it received 4 acknowledgements. So it sent 8 packets. Now when the pipe becomes full, okay, then it cannot send anymore, then it has to stop. Now, let's look at the additive increase part. So in the additive increase from an initial congestion window of 1 segment, so here it is sending, here it is sending 1. When it receives this, then it is sending 2. Okay. Okay. Now it receives this. And then it is sending here 1, and then it is sending 2 here. So 3 packets. So this is the additive increase part. So it is sending 1 packet, 2 packets, then 3 packets, then 4 packets. So it continues in this manner. So the congestion window now here in the additive increase part, it increases like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So in this previous diagram, this was the slow start, and then after crossing when there is a retransmission, then you will come back to the threshold. So let's see this. Let me explain this with this example, with this diagram. Okay, so if you see here on this side we have the RTT. On this side we have the retransmission times, and this side is the congestion windows. So initially you see it is increasing. 1, it was 1, then 2, then 4, then 8, then 16. Okay. Okay. Now this is the threshold. 32 kb is, let's say, the threshold. So when it hits the threshold, after this reaches the threshold, then it goes into the additive increase. Here it is increasing 1 1 at a time. Every RTT it is sending 1. It is increasing the window by 1. So this red part here, this part is the slow start part, and this part here, this is the additive increase. This is the additive increase. Okay. Now we will discuss in the next video. We will discuss about congestion triggering. That is another way by which congestion can be the transport layer can know that there is a congestion.